Well, how did you sneak in here without me?
I know, right?
Ben, nice to meet you.
And nice to meet you as well.
Making. Thanks, Dave.
What do you eat?
I will do it again.
I'm eating chicken and
You want
I'm like,
something?
yeah.
No, you want
I'm
something?
here, Shannon.
I bought a whole bunch.
They
They were cheap.
Why not?
You bugged me about it, probably never forget, but.
Yeah.
It's May, people say.
You're not scheduling on that, we'll talk
Not a
about.
whole bunch.
Mike.
I don't think so. I have a lot of those. I don't think.
We have
One or two minutes.
So. No, big spring, big spring. It's what
Yeah.
their boxes were.
No, I didn't know that. I thought there has to be a special time.
It's Tasha's birthday. It's Tasha's.
I'm so sorry.
Her oldest kid doesn't get the bus doesn't come.
Yes, so,
Oh, you're such a good guy.
we got notice after all the teachers were there. And it said some of the buses.
She gets the call. They have to.
That's crazy. My car I just saw, when I saw it, it said something like.
I don't know what they're gonna do tomorrow because,
I don't know.
but I was.
Tell Jen.
That-
So my.
I don't know. We can look it up. I thought it was. But that's what I-
Like-
My husband has all electric cars and he does drive 50 minutes to work, but now it takes over 50% of his battery. to
Okay.
get out of Pittsburgh from Canonsburg.
Because it's.
Normally, you go down and back, down and back, and he is at like 20%.
I'm the type of person where I cannot.
So now it's like
one thing for
55% to
10
go down
I
and
have to sit
back.
down in 2 hours.
Yeah.
Like I would rather not. do
He's
it.
not going to, he's like, I'm never gonna get an all electric car again.
And I know.
In this weather. Yeah.
Then like,
Yeah.
so like, still working, that's why I ended up doing 3 of my work. She got an answer from that.
So
I have them now, maybe because it's been just a month and a half now.
That's cool.
Yeah.
You go see it on August 1:30 and just read it for 2 hours.
And then if I'd be able to get my guys good fuel.
I know it's gonna, I'm gonna ruin the time with them, if I have like work stuff.
Yeah,
I love the voice
exactly.
message work.
Oh, that's great. The morning, I don't know how you get it to go. For you, I think you're.
The grocery said 20 was great. I can make sure.
Yes.
Maybe there's some kind of one more.
But if your battery's old, you might wanna Google it anyway, because sometimes this is when they die.
Right. You forget the. Like, keep so.
Yeah.
Probably one of you buying goes, so
Yeah.
much, now I don't drive that much anymore.
Inspection report.
He's way more.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so,
When I told her, I'm like, listen, I'm
so,
30,
Yeah.
so I'll see that. I'm like, God, I'm walking on.
You have to get them, yeah, which drive, which one? My husband usually drives. There, elementary school,
we want to know that.
Every time we go somewhere.
And so I think it's not that you never.
And
Oh, that's my younger
How old is your
daughter.
one?
She would not cut
So
her
I
or do her, like, there's some times I'm like, meetings, I, like I tell them.
I just thought-
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Well, I can do all that.
Yeah, cause I'll do most of the driving.
So the rest of it, you have to get
She
some.
has the
I'd rather have that.
It's showing.
Used to be all night.
No,
Just-
we have a years.
Oh my God.
I was gonna.
Oh, if your wife wants it, but I don't get it.
Cut it out.
When are you there? Getting cars.
Yeah.
You did.
That's all. It's
Because I know sometimes you do.
Yeah.
You'll say, well, to close things, how about we spend it?
Stuff.
moving up, moving up, moving up. Do I have to go there?
I'm the same way. Okay, sounds good.
So, I know.
Alright, so first, I wanna ask you all to smile pretty for me. That's what I say to my kids, otherwise I get like really awkward faces.
Well, you remember.
Yeah. Drew, hold up your lights. Alright.
Wait, Michelle's coming.
Oh, wait,
Come on, we're taking a pic.
look, you don't have to sit in the very front. Michelle is always ready.
She shows up at the last minute.
All right, everybody smile, say Keller Williams.
Williams.
Okay. I have to get better at doing that. Okay, so thank you all for being here today. Michelle Snyman and I actually kicked off this series called How I Grew. Sorry, I didn't mean to scare you there.
What do I do?
Yeah, and I love it because everybody's journey is a little bit different. So my hope for you out of these different stories that you get to hear, that you're gonna pull out just maybe one thing that you might want to implement in your business, and it's not always gonna be tactical. Sometimes it's really going to be around mindset. And yet what I love about Shannon's journey is oftentimes Adrian and I will hear, well, I don't have a big sphere. You know, and that is a tough challenge to overcome. And that's something that Shannon's gonna talk to you about today, because when she got in real estate, in Pennsylvania, she had no sphere. So she was able to overcome that challenge, and now she's growing a team. So, first question, what inspired you to get into real estate? And how has your why evolved since you started?
So when I moved here, my kids were in middle school and the oldest was going into high school. And so and I thought I was gonna be planted for a while because I hadn't been for a long time. So I was like, what am I gonna do with myself? And the one thing I knew was moving, because I had been a corporate reload wife 5 times over. So I had great real estate agents and I had frighteningly bad real estate agents. And so what I kind of figured out, I looked at the things that the great ones did, and it was around communication and really understanding our wants, needs, and desires and kind of how to talk to me. And I also looked at definitely what not to do, which was talking at people and making assumptions and just kind of steamrolling me into things. And so I said, well, I know enough to be dangerous, so I ought to at least take these kind of the real estate expert in your neighborhood. Did you know that your neighbor's home just sold for $10,000 over asking? And just give them as much information as I could. Obviously, who do you know that needs to buy seller real estate? Because we're looking for people, you know, we have buyers. But really, the big thing was getting them to take my card and ideally let me put them in the database. But if they wouldn't, I'd say, hey, take my card. I know you may not have any real estate needs, but your garage door breaks on a Sunday at 2 o'clock. I got a guy that might be able to come out and fix it. And the got a guy strategy has been huge. You know, it's all about contribution. And that worked.
I remember recently, actually, you came across somebody who was maybe starting a cleaning business, or she had openings in her cleaning business. You know what story I'm talking
I
about,
do,
so you
I
can just
do.
run with it.
Yeah, and so she needed to fill her slots. So I called my neighbors and friends and clients and said, hey, I've got a great cleaning lady, because I like her, she cleans my house. And so I use that as a way in and to find, and so now my goal for people is, just like all of our goals, is if there's anything that can remotely be home or real estate related, I want to be your first call. And that's what I tell people, anything at all that can be home or real estate related. You need a cleaning lady, you need your windows cleaned, you need a contractor. You're not sure if you should replace your carpet. You want to know what people are doing in high-end appliances. I want to be your first call. And I may not have the answer, but I got a whole group of people right here that do. So I'll give you the kind of collective answer to your questions and problems. And that's really paid off. And then people call and go, you know, they ask you questions and they get your contractor and then they say, oh, by the way, did you know that Shelley just put her husband in the memory care over at Messiah? No, I didn't know that. But that's a way in. And so then my next thing is, you know, I don't want to call Shelley during her time of need, but can you drop some information, you know, and then I send something blanket to the neighborhood, but can you let her know that if there's anything she needs, somebody to cut her grass, somebody to, you know, fix her garage door, somebody, whatever, I want to help her out with any of the real estate needs. And then 3 weeks later, Shelley calls and says, hey, I need to sell my house.
And really it's through providing value, but also you become a leader of the industry, even though you can't do all the things. But when people think about real estate or anything related to real estate.
Yeah.
Shannon has positioned herself to be their go-to person.
That's the goal.
You also have a fun story, and this is kind of around your farming, and you told this to me a long time ago. That you got a pretty big listing. Like door knocking.
Yeah.
And then you're like at one house on the phone negotiating another, and then that's how you got the deal. You know what story I'm talking about?
I do. So I was door knocking in a neighborhood that I knew had a fair amount of turnover and they were nicer homes. And I knew 2 people that lived in it. And so they're like, my neighborhood's great, super active, all these things. So I got as much information and I just door knocked. And a lot of people don't really want to talk to you, but I ended up talking to these one folks. And they said, interestingly enough, we're getting ready to put our house back on the market because it didn't sell with the realtor before. And I said, I would love an opportunity. They said, we're interviewing. I said, great, I'd love an opportunity. I'd love an interview. So we go there, they have this long checklist of all these things that they are looking for in a real estate agent. And when we go through all of the, you know, why me? And then we get to the CMA stuff and it just stoked. Because I am literally $75,000 less than they listed there. And I said, I know you're gonna be angry, but let me show you the data. And then we went through the data. And she wasn't happy. But oh, and by the way, then I told her she had to paint her faux finished columns and another room that was bright yellow. Cause like, as soon as you walk in the door and you see these, and that's not a great thing either. And this is when houses didn't sell in 15 seconds. So I said, we have to fix this. So they didn't like it. I'm leaving and I'm on the phone with my husband going, they're absolutely not gonna hire me. And they beep in and say, turn around, we want you to sign the contract. So we did that, put their house on the market, did a lot of reverse prospecting. They referred me to somebody who I'd also door knocked.
Okay.
And those people, I had been trying to get in. And so we finally are having a listing appointment with them and I'm getting calls from people about offers on their house. And I'm like, I'm really sorry, I have to take this. It's an offer that I'm expecting. And I did that intentionally because I wanted them to see, oh, She, you know, that other house was on the market for 6 months and she's had it for a week and a half and now she's getting an offer. So it was a choice to take that call. But I did, we got it, and then, they also signed that.
What reverse prospect, can you tell us about that?
I love reverse prospecting. So anytime you have a listing, you can go into my listings and you can go into view. And then if you click the top left button, the little thing there, like if you were gonna quick review or anything. If you go down to the bottom, reverse prospecting is a selection that you can make. Click on reverse prospecting and it shows every agent who has a search set up that this home is a potential match. And obviously the hearts or the question, it is the bomb. And the thing that I like most about it is do it right away. Like I put a listing on this morning and I've been reverse prospecting already. Do it before it gets old and stale. And when houses were selling in 15 seconds, people would be like, why are you calling me? You just listed it today. I was like, you want a shot at it? And so you're building a relationship with that person. I just want to make sure you know I'd love to work with you. And so that played well as well. But reverse prospecting has been huge. And the very first house that I actually sold, I sold via reverse prospecting, and this is like 2012. I don't think many people did it. And I called, I'll never forget, it was Steve Borges. And I called and I texted and I emailed and it didn't answer and didn't answer and didn't answer. And I just kept going down the list and I finally got it. And he goes, yeah, they're not interested. She lives in Minnesota. She's like 6 months out. She's got a very specific wish list. Awesome. What is that? She wants a restored Victorian in Churchtown. It's a niche. I was like, dude, open your computer. I'm sending you the link. It's a restored Victorian in Churchtown. Her friend looked at it the next day with him and they made a full price offer. And neither he nor the client looked at it because she was 6 months out. So she didn't really care, but she had the money, cash, by the way, cash. No inspections in a time when cash and no inspections didn't happen because she was afraid she'd lose it. And neither one of them had looked at it or were going to look at it.
So reverse prospecting, in case you didn't hear, that's in Bright. So Bright MLS is where you can do that. And I love what you said about building relationships, because those building of those relationships are not only what help you sell houses, but it's what help you get your offers accepted.
Exactly, exactly. If I call Ben and go, I don't want you to miss this. Oh, thank you. And then he's gonna think of me next time.
Exactly.
Right, Ben?
Mhm.
And like, yeah.
Yes.
What was one of your biggest challenges that you faced early on in your career? I know we talked about not having a large sphere, but what else would you say was a challenge that you had to overcome?
I think I was one of the many people that was afraid I didn't know enough, so I was initially afraid to talk to people. And what I realized is no matter how little you think you know more than they do. And it's totally acceptable to say, that is such a great question, Bill. You know what? Let me get back to you on that. And as soon as I realized it was okay to A, not pretend you know everything, because you don't, and B, just have a reason to connect with them, it was actually better if I had to take Bill's contact information and reach out to him with his answer. And I feel like door knocking really helped me with that. Because you get people that would slam the door, but you get a lot of people that would just talk to you. And you trip over your words and you'd say something stupid and I'd walk away thinking, but the reality is they don't remember you. Whether you were amazing or whether you weren't great, they really don't remember that. So just talk, just get out there and practice your language. And if you know some specific things that people are worried about, lead with that. You know, I know a lot of people are looking at advertising, but they just don't know where they're gonna go. Is that a concern to you? Yes. You know what? You're not alone. Let me tell you what we found other people have been able to do. And you've got a solution to their problem. So when you go door knocking, if there's it's an older community and you know that they all are gonna be looking to downsize or whatever, have some solutions to their problems. Bring up their problems. So they're like, oh, she does know what I'm talking about, what I'm concerned with.
So really, that's what you are. You're not in that moment, not just a real estate agent. You're helping them solve their problems. So that's what our job is.
And that's when you feel found again. I completely understand how you feel. Lots of other people have felt the same way. And in your situation, here's what we found. They do X, Y, and Z. I can help you with that.
What, this wasn't a question that I prepped you with, but you do have really great script dialogues, really great discovery questions. Where did you get that from? What trainings or books or podcasts did you listen to? Or is this just a skill in your sales?
I think I'm a talker and but I think part of my challenge is I talk and then think. You know, there's think to talkers and there's talk to thinkers, and I'm a talk to thinker, so you get to the point eventually. But it helped, but that's how I process. And so I think it plays well with other people that need to be taken through the process sometimes. But I think practice, I think it's just practice. And I say a lot of things that don't play well. And then I go, don't do that again. And, you know, and you move on and being able to laugh at yourself. I never forget one time I got somebody and he was like, oh, businessy, and he showed up and it was this, and I just froze. And I said, wow, clearly I have not had enough coffee. And I turned around and I go, hi, I'm Shannon Foster. And he just started laughing and he invited me in.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah, because I was like, all right, I'm clearly having a day. The other thing, if you go door knocking on days when nobody would expect you to be out there, it's the bomb. I gave out ice scrapers, like little dollar store ice scrapers, when it was starting to snow. Now, some of them were like Shannon Foster, blah, blah, but a lot of them weren't. I just went to the dollar store and got these. And I was like, do you have one of these for your car? You're gonna want one of these. If it's pouring down rain, people are like, oh my gosh, you're getting drowned. I know, but you know, we have a listing down the street that I want to tell you about, and people really, that resonates. When I fell and broke my foot, I didn't lose a listing appointment that I actually went on because I crawled up the stairs. I couldn't walk up the stairs. I scooted up the stairs. Game changer. People are like, wow, that's somebody that's invested.
Yeah, it's your work ethic.
And it's super fun, right? It's super fun.
I think too, back to in the beginning, you mentioned you would volunteer at your kids' schools and you became kind of a leader. I think oftentimes you don't have to know a ton about real estate. Like people don't need to trust that you know a lot about real estate, but
They trust you.
they have to trust you and that you're gonna get shit done.
Yeah.
Like if they see that you have a strong work ethic, they know that you're not gonna drop the ball, or at least they have that trust that you're not gonna drop the ball.
My first two listings were people that 100% knew me, 100% knew that they were on my first listings and trusted me anyway. Like in spite of that. And part of it was being able to say, I got you, I'm smart enough to know what I don't know, and I'm gonna make sure I've got a team of people behind me that is gonna fix it and help me out. And that played really well.
Yeah.
And my third listing, I got because I had a client that was freaking out about, we got an offer and they wanted to know that night, and this is before I was smart enough to know that's a bad strategy. And so I called my listing and said, I'm really sorry. Can I push it back a couple hours? I have to meet with my clients to talk them through an offer. And he goes, when did you put that house on the market? I was like, last week. He said, so you're canceling my appointment to go meet with them to talk about offers. I said, I'm not canceling. I'm asking if you have any flexibility, because I really need to get there before, you know, for this. And he's like, yeah. And then when I finally got that deal, they said one of the reasons is because I prioritized the people that I was working with, and I, you know, was gonna jump through the hoops for them.
I love that.
So
We mentioned your biggest challenge. What would you say is a milestone that made you realize that you're growing and you're actually succeeding in this industry? After you went through all those challenges to get going, when was your like, I got this moment?
I think it was the year before I came here, I realized I didn't have the bandwidth to be able to serve all the people that I needed to serve, that people were referring me to. And so that's when I said, I've got to do something different. I got to create a team. And that's when I actually may know enough, because not only do I need these people, but people seem to want to be on my team. So that was kind of a moment for me.
I love that.
Quite surprising.
And then you got,
Don't tell them it wasn't a great idea.
we won't let Kelly see this recorded. What habits or systems have been game changers in helping you grow your business and serve your clients?
And these have been since I joined Keller Williams, because I was not a good habits and systems person. A big part is having your big goals broken down to monthly, weekly, daily. Here's what I have to do. I know if I haven't had X number of conversations and I haven't had X number of listing appointments or X number of buyer appointments, I'm not gonna hit my goals. And so breaking them down to daily goals has really helped me. It's also increased my anxiety, but that's a good thing. Because it's not really increased my anxiety. It's put to the forefront when I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing and when I'm not. And then I have to make a strategic choice. And there, like over Christmas, we talked about this. I didn't work that much. My kid came home from the military. I hadn't seen him in a year. So from December 18th till January 3rd, I did the bare minimum. I'm paying for that now, right? I'm not as far along as I want to be, but then I have to remind myself that was a choice I specifically made because I wanted to spend that time with my kid and I don't know when I'm gonna see him again. And you have those rights and those choices. Now I just have to stop freaking out about it and just drill down more.
And know that if you put in the work, it's gonna happen.
And it's starting to come.
Yeah,
It's just
it always
lower than
does.
it should be because I didn't do what I normally do.
One question I didn't have on your list for you, but we talked about it a little today, is just your social media.
Yeah.
You've been really consistent, especially with your foot injury. Like if there was anything that you could do, it was being able to do a selfie video on the couch. How is that going and why did you choose to engage in that lead gen strategy?
So probably the fall gave me a reason to get into social media because there was very little I could do. But I think, thanks to Maddie and some others who have really helped me, I think it's going well. It's a just do it thing, right? I'm not terribly good at it. It doesn't matter. Just put it out there. I think the reason I really decided to do it is because I would get a referral. 97% of our business is past client or sphere referrals, right? That's just what we do. That's our brand. And I was getting referred to people and they're warm leads, like a text between the two of us. And then I'd call that person and they were kind of wishy-washy to meet with me. If you can't meet with them, you can't list them, right? Or you can't sign them. And I found it was because they felt like they had a relationship with another real estate agent. So that's all well and good until I found out they hadn't even met that person. And this happened multiple times. It was somebody that they were following on Instagram, TikTok, whatever. And they felt like they knew them, they knew their brand, they knew how they worked, they had a relationship with them. And so they didn't want to talk to me, which is where I was going to have the opportunity to share all that stuff too. So I said, well, this isn't going to work. And I decided to start, and literally it just started with personal videos. And I find that the ones that I trip over my words or my hair's like sticking out crazy, A, nobody cares, and B, they probably get more watch. Maybe it's because they're laughing, but they're watching. And then I have people that I don't even know are Facebook or Instagram friends of mine. And they never comment on anything, but they stop me in the grocery store and go, you know what, that motivational Monday, that really helped me the other day. And I'm like really going, who is this, who is this, who is this, who is this? I know this person. And then after they leave, I realize how I know them. But it is a game changer. So we just created, with Ben's help and Nate's help, we just created a video that we're going to send. I've been working on it today, sending it to clients and sending it to people saying, hey, who do you know that needs to buy, sell, or invest in real estate? Two things. One, we're working with 2 charities this year. We're donating to United Church of Christ Homes. They will help with affordable senior housing. And then we're also donating to Make-A-Wish. So we want, if we get the opportunity to help your friends, we'll not only help them, but we'll be giving back to the community. But also, here's a little bit about what we do so that when you give them our name, you can send them that. And then we'd love for you to ask them if you can give our contact to us. And so far, I like it.
I love it. The video was fantastic. And I like what you said about sometimes the people that have actually talked to you in person about your content are not liking and commenting.
They don't.
We put so much value in the likes and the subscribes and the comments, but oftentimes it's the people who are silent and they just watch it and keep scrolling that you're actually impacting the most. So although the likes are fun and the video views are fun when you get a lot, just remember that there's likely people watching that haven't said a word. that could silently be going, okay, when I need to buy or sell, I'm gonna call this person. So don't tie your value to the likes. Just keep doing it because you don't know who's gonna see it and then eventually give you that phone call and say, I need your help.
And we have gotten business from it. I know of at least 2 deals that we got that were complete outsiders, but somehow it ended up in their feed. And they came to us.
Yeah, it's,
And I have a terrible reach. I mean, there's something I gotta do, is get down and figure out the algorithm and figure out how to do it. I haven't done any of that, and we're still getting some business.
yeah. Yeah,
So,
and I wouldn't worry too much about it. I think how you approach it with your lead gen strategy of like send it to your people individually.
Yeah.
They will help boost that algorithm by sharing it.
When can we see your video?
Yeah, when is it coming out?
I've got to figure out how I'm gonna get it, and I guess I can just put it on and Facebook, right? I can just
You
put it on
just post
Facebook.
it there or even YouTube.
I would put it on.
I do
YouTube.
have it on YouTube,
Yeah.
but I gotta send, so how do you get people to YouTube? Because I have no subscribers
Share-
on YouTube.
share
I
the
can-
link.
Yeah,
share the
to
link.
your people, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay, all right.
Versus just actually sending the video, make sure
Okay.
you put it on.
Yeah, I have been,
sharing the Google Drive?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, share the YouTube. link.
Cause then you'll get views and then the algorithm will.
okay,
push it.
so I'll share that. Okay,
Yeah.
it is on YouTube. I just gotta do
Yeah, so put it in the Facebook
it.
group.
See, I know nothing about this
Yeah.
stuff.
Oh, I never see it. You just
You
click
can
that.
do it.
I love it.
You know what? And I have learned, it doesn't matter. Everything works, nothing doesn't. Just keep doing something. Just keep doing something. And the other thing is consistency is key. Right? Even if it's not great, they see your face.
Yeah, I think that's what I admire about you the most. You take away any possible excuse.
Just
You're
gotta
just gonna do it and then figure it out later.
Yeah,
I-
fail forward.
I had a boss that said, shoot, ready, aim. And I love that, because everyone, I could be one that's, ooh, let's make sure it's perfect.
No.
Girlfriend, I don't have time for that. And and so my kids will laugh all the time because they're like, you just do it. What is wrong with you? I was like, it's worked,
Yeah,
so just do it.
you
Right?
have like that burn the ships mentality, which is what I love, like no safety net, no backup plan. In fact, I'm gonna burn up my backup plan so that way I have no choice but to go forward and
Yeah.
then you just do it. And then you're gonna learn along the way and you get business along the way because people appreciate that level of vulnerability. Like I think they gravitate towards you because you do provide that level of leadership and you're just like, hey, look, I'm real. Like I'm a real human. I'm not Instagram perfect.
Yeah,
And
that happened.
I can help you achieve your biggest goals and dreams.
Well, and I think an overarching, right or wrong, an overarching theme to the way I've operated my business is, let me understand what you're trying to do and let me give you the various paths, including the paths that don't make sense for me, that like have no value for me, but might make more sense for you. And ask the hard questions and really get them to think about it. I'll never forget a listing that we were sitting there and this lady was obviously not wanting to list her house and the husband was driver through, and I said, you just gotta ask. Cause it really feels like, I'll call her Kathy in this, Kathy doesn't want to sell. And she's like, well, he wants to do this, and they bought this massive RV and they were traveling the world and the whole 9 yards, and I said, that's awesome. I said, is there a reason you can't just rent this? And he's like, why would we do that? Do you do that? I was like, no, but I can get you somebody. And then we talked through all of the options and how that might be the safety net that she needs, and I almost talked him into it. And I said, sleep on it and let me know. And she called me the next day and she goes, I'm fine, I'm ready to sell. I said, really? Why? And she goes, you gave me the out. I knew I could have a safety net, but the reality is, if we move back here, we don't need this big house. I was like, oh, okay. And it's been 3 years and they're still traveling in the RV. And she loves it. And she loves it. But giving her and helping her sell him on, maybe we shouldn't sell this yet. Maybe we should have a safety net. Really built my relationship with both of them.
Yeah, and I think there's trust both in there when you're like, I'm gonna help you make this decision, even though it might be that you don't sell.
Yeah.
Yeah. Drew, I think you have.
No, I think Melissa did.
Oh, one second.
When posting the social media posts like that? Do we have to have certain brokerage information on them when we do that kind of stuff?
I don't.
Curious.
Probably, yes. It
I
does
didn't
say
wanna do
Keller
it and then
Williams.
not get, and
It
then
says
get
the
in
Keller
trouble.
Williams of Central PA at the bottom.
Okay,
I would imagine that we probably do, because
As long as you're-
everybody's posted.
I think as long as your profile has all your information, not every post has to
Okay.
have it.
And it also kind of ties back with logos. If you put a logo sting, like if you make a logo with your name on it, with your phone number,
It's gotta have that. stuff.
then you gotta add in the
Okay.
broker's logo. So the less flashy stuff you do with the video, the less that compliance is really affected.
And I will tell you, I tried, like I have a Shannon Foster team, Keller Williams of Central PA, and I was like logoing stuff, and I was sitting in the room and all those things, those nobody looked at.
can the, like, so on our
For me?
profile, how it says our name, mine currently then says Realtor with Keller Williams.
That's perfect.
That's all it needs to say.
Yeah.
Or like
Yeah.
in your, what's that thing called at the top?
About me.
Bill
About me.
knows. No, your,
Oh, the banner. No,
yeah, but I don't know if that, is that what it's called? What's it called?
It's
Yeah.
like a
What's it called at the top of your profile?
banner.
The cover page?
Sure.
Yes. The
The
big
cover
one,
photo, the
yeah, it's a
banner.
big one.
Look at
Yeah.
us, look at all of us millennials.
I was
Gen Z,
like,
you were
"Oh,
so,
what is she talking
the
about?"
Gen Z.
What do you got, Boomer?
no Facebook, they don't do that, they don't do that.
Okay, thank you.
I love that.
Yeah, so good question.
I do want to ask you two more questions. So who do you follow? Like, who inspires you?
Oh, I have three. I love, not in any order, obviously Mel Robbins for so many reasons. She's just so genuine and so real, and the let them theory is like the bomb, and I've been using it with my kid and I'm happier, so that's good. I love Simon Sinek. To start with why, but he's just really thoughtful. And I think, again, my goal is to help people create the lives they want to live and generational wealth through real estate. But to create the lives you want to live, it's that communications tools and strategies and things, and I love his tools and strategies. And then the other is Brene Brown, because she's so vulnerable. It's all about vulnerability, and she's so vulnerable. And I find, again, like with posts and stuff, or even in conversations with people, the more real you can be, the better the better connection you create. And whether you do business then or in the future, or they refer you to somebody or whatever, I feel like you build those relationships. And I love the fact that, I mean, I have one set of clients that I literally, I stopped at 40 some odd, a tree of 40 some odd deals that I have from this one family.
Wow.
40. There are people in their family that I bought, sold, I mean, and like they're friends. It's like this network of people, and they call me the family realtor. I also show up at some of their things with the best gifts you've ever seen, right? I mean, I was the second person that found out that they were having twins. One of their parents knew, another parent didn't, and I was number 2.
That's an honor.
And I still give them the nicest Christmas gifts and birthday gifts, and, I consider them my kids and my grandkids.
I love that.
Yeah, they're awesome.
What question did I not ask that I should have asked? Yeah, anyone? Questions open to the room? Adrian, Ben?
I'm just curious around how you, sort of strategize and set up your system of your preferred vendors or your referral sources.
Yeah.
And how you sort of like keep track of them and know how to, facilitate sending a referral out and what benefits are back and forth, if any,
Yeah.
in that relationship.
Yeah, so, great question, and it's not an area that I'm as strong in as I should be. I am great at giving the referrals, I'm not as good at getting people to give back to me, which is something I've got to work on. But I literally, in everything in my phone, so like if it's an HVAC, it says Cody HVAC, and then it says his last name and his company, so that I just search. I know, right? But I just search for those things, but here's one of the things I do, like today, some of the first people I sent that video to were people like Cody or Bruce Ackerman, who I give his name out all the time. He's a general contractor. I give him out all the time. He'll do little stuff, he'll do big stuff. And when I'm referring people, if I can, I'm on the phone with Bill, we're having a conversation. I say, hey, do you want me to see if I can reach out to Bruce? And then I try and get him in right then and there. If he doesn't answer, then I start the group text so that you're still involved and you can follow up. So I'm not great at having a list and publishing the list or saying, you know, Bruce, will you give me $200 towards this? But I do go back to him and say, hey, who do you know that might want to buy or sell? Interestingly enough, a lot of my contractors, not most, that's not fair, but a lot of my contractors have used me to buy or sell properties or, you know, for their kids or things like that. So that's a good thing. And I think the more you can stay connected with the client and the person that you sent the referral and make sure that it went well. And if it's not going well, make sure that you insert yourself and say, these people are important to me, you gotta fix this. I think that helps. Does that help?
Yeah, thank you.
And I'll just add to that because we recently started a new vendor program with Keller to Central PA. So instead of vendors being able to come in and buy you all chicken nuggets and then get lots of business from you from buying you a $5 lunch, we're asking them to give us referrals. So we're just we give you tons of referrals. So we'd like for you to give us referrals. That way we can help each other grow. Dave Hook. I wish Drew was still here for this story. Dave Hook has his mortgage company and he helps investors. So it's like a cash type of loan company. He's gonna come speak at one of our team meetings to explain what that does. And he asked if he could buy everybody lunch one day and come in and speak. And I said, nope, Dave, you're not allowed to buy us lunch. You have to give us an agent referral. Dave is part investor in this market center. And wouldn't you know, within 10 minutes, I had 2 agent connections in my community. What I learned from that was, you know, you have to ask because we can only keep so much in our brain at once. Like all the things that Dave's involved in, he has a whole leadership team running the brokerage. So he's not worried about the brokerage, which is great for Adrian and I. That means we're doing our job. And yet you have to ask. So just don't be afraid to ask your vendor like, hey, how did those 2 referrals work out for you last week? Oh, good. I'm glad it worked out. Hey, do you know, while I have you, do you know anybody looking to buy or sell? Just prompt the question. Ben, my husband, Ben, not this Ben. He, you know, we have had him do some videos for KW CPA and we paid for them. And I finally asked him, I was like, how many referrals have I sent your way? So he starts naming them off. It was this person and this person and this person. I go, cool.
How many have you sent me?
Yeah, how many have you sent me? Could you do a couple videos for me for free? You know, because I sent you all these referrals. And when I put it in that perspective for him, he was like, oh my gosh, you're absolutely right. So now my new question to vendors is, who do you know that I could help? And then it's also, how many referrals do I need to send your way such that I can maybe get some of your services at a discount or for free? So that way it's a win-win. I'd rather do that than, I mean, I could buy you guys chicken nuggets. And quite honestly, the potlucks are the most famous lunch of all. So just remember that in your business, like you can't be always giving. It is okay to. So good question.
Yeah, love that.
Yeah, anybody else? For Shannon, Bill, or Ben? I was looking at Bill, but I saw Ben's hand.
Similar.
Not the same item.
So I think it probably did you move all those times because it sounded like you were able to separate and see it from an outside point of view whenever you were starting your real estate.
Yeah.
And I know with working with you that like one of your best traits is mastering the mundane and putting yourself in the client's shoes. Do you have any tips or systems or something that you do to make the process better? Because I know I always hear raving reviews.
I think it's just regular check-in points. I have in my calendar, you know, if we have somebody that's kind of sort of thinking about buying or selling a house. I know I'm supposed to do this to command, but literally, I just put them in my phone. Call them this week, call them this week, call them this week, call them this week. If we have somebody that's in the process and they're searching, but they can't find anything, call them this week, call them this week, call them this week, call them this week. And I just try and keep on top of people because it's so easy to lose people. And the one thing I have all the time is my phone. So I just try and keep those people. I know you can set up smart pans in command that they will send them to you. Well, I don't look at it the way I'm supposed to, and I've tried, and I still don't. So it's
Use
like,
the system that works for you.
use the system that
100%.
works for you. But also, back to the vendor thing. If I'm talking to vendors and I'm like, if you were ever gonna move, what would that look like? And they give me some sort of pipe dream or something like that. That's awesome. Tell me more, deep dive, deep dive, deep dive. As much of, do you want me to set up a search for that just in case something happens? And some of these contractors will then call you and go, I know I said I was never gonna move, but oh my God, did you see that house? And it gives you a reason, and sometimes it makes sense. I mean, there was one contractor that I sold to, and he goes, I said, I'm sure you get this all the time. He's an inspector. I said, I'm sure you get this all the time. He goes, nobody has me set up on search. He said, I work with so many people, but nobody has me set up on search. And he referred his brother to me. So we think, just like we think people, oh, everybody knows 8,000 real estate agents, and they do. But are they actively talking to 8,000 real estate agents about real estate? Or about my home problem? Or about the fact that I think I'm gonna have to expand? Or my daughter wants a basement bedroom and I've gotta do something about it. They're not. And we have to remember that.
And we have to remember that people tend to take care of themselves last.
Yeah.
Right? So like contractors are notoriously known that they do a fabulous job at everybody else's house, but their house is full of half-finished projects. House cleaners, they are the bomb at cleaning other people's houses, but then when they come home, the last thing they want to do is clean their house. Like everybody can use value and everybody can use service, but we tend to think like, well, they're in the industry, they don't need my help. No, they need our help because they're busy taking care of their businesses and their jobs and their careers, so we can still be value. And how many agents are actually asking them, hey, how can I help you today? Like, thanks for helping me, but how can I help you? That one question could go so far.
And I think back to Ben's question, I was thinking about the other day, like we have a restaurant we go to all the time, we have a waitress that we absolutely love. It's her birthday, we brought her a little birthday cake, right? We do the stuff and the things.
That's
But
so
what
cute.
we try and do is we try and understand and ask. And she's like, you know what? I really need to get out of this. I need to get into a different job that makes me more money. It's like, well, tell me what that would look like. I want to clean houses. Oh, well, I have a listing coming on. You want to clean that? How much would you charge? I don't know. How much should I charge? Well, my normal lady charges this. Probably if you charge a little less than that on the first one, she's like, oh, I'll do that. She did an amazing job. So then I called, I thanked her, of course, she tipped her. And then I said, do you want to do one-offs or do you want to clean people's houses routinely no, I really want to do that. Great. So then I went and I started calling neighbors again. And she's got a couple of interviews with people. Now, I'm gonna be really sad when she leaves my restaurant because she's my favorite waitress, but that's not what she wants, right? And who does she know? Same lady was having stomach problems. She went to Mexico to figure out what her problems were. She came back with all this stuff. I sent it to my neighbor, who's a cancer guy. He's like, I don't think she has cancer, but that's gotta be removed. He gave me a referral. She got in 2 weeks later and she had surgery less than 3 weeks later. And she's fine. And she hadn't been able to get into a doctor to address this stuff. I'm God to her now. And all I did was be a human, right?
You're a connector.
Yeah.
I think that's the key word.
Well, people will forget what you did, but they'll always remember how you made them feel.
Right. And she has told everybody. And then when my kid had a the rehearsal dinner, we did one of our rehearsal dinners, we did a Mexican fiesta in our backyard. And I guarantee you that they gave me an obscene discount. I kept saying, this can't be right. I guarantee you they gave me an obscene discount. Because of what they charged me for that versus what I knew they were gonna charge.
Yeah, I think we have the blessing of getting to know so many people from so many walks of life. And so we do get to be that person of, oh my gosh, you have this problem, totally not real estate related, but I know that.
Yeah, lead with curiosity and it comes back.
Yeah.
But you all do. So I'm not telling you something you don't already do it.
You just, what are the ahas from today? Did anybody take away anything that they would do differently? We covered it.
I think it was really good to hear that she didn't start real early in the business, and I think that helped you.
Yeah.
Break through in the business, because you had an outsider point of view.
Yeah, yeah.
So like, what we could do is talk to our clients and say what we did or didn't do right,
Right.
to try to figure that out without starting a new venture.
So I saw something, Ben, the other day that I thought was really good, and they said, call your best clients and ask, what did I do really well? What did you really like? What was important to you and what did I do really well? And whatever they tell you, like, you were super responsive, you got back to me right away with X, Y, and Z, or, you really listened and my wife was this and I was this and you were able to mediate, whatever it is, that's what's important to them. And if you'll start to see patterns, because we all, like the person that I help might be a different person than you're gonna help. We're different personalities, but you start to see patterns in the people that you're helping. And so you don't have to do 700 things well, you have to do maybe 10, but they have to be the 10 that these people really value. And then the other stuff outsource. And that's the other thing that I would have done sooner had I come to Keller Williams, is like, I would have had a TC day one. Day one, I don't need to do that. I don't need to be good at that, right? I gotta outsource the stuff, so I spend time in the conversations that actually are gonna bring us business.
So you have the energy to do that. I think oftentimes we're like, especially early on, we're like, well, I have the time. So we do it, but that every activity, every decision, every conversation you have does take energy from you. And you only have so much energy to give every single day. And when that energy depletes, you react slower, you think slower, your words don't come to you as easily, you're just not going to be as on point. So that's another piece of it that I think we can talk about in that, is it's not always, yes, I want you to stay in your highest earning income, the highest earning activities for you. But I also don't want you to have to go to bed at 7 o'clock at night because you're exhausted.
And for me, it's a trap. So I would rather work on my listing stuff and make, you know what I mean? I would rather do that than make the phone call to the guy that I don't really want to talk to, but he's on my DTD too, so I really have to do it, right? It's easier to do this and feel like I'm working, I'm busy, but I'm not. What I really need to do is that. So if you outsource some of that stuff, it gets rid of some of your excuses.
Yeah,
You just don't have to, you gotta do the actual work. And so I also try and reward myself. So like, I'm gonna make these 10, I'm gonna talk to these 10 people, or at least try to talk to these 10 people, and I gotta at least get 5 of them before I get to do any of the stuff that is more fun for me. Because I have to, because if not, I won't do it. I've come to the conclusion that part of me is basically lazy. And so I have to trick myself into doing the stuff that I need to do.
Or it's just, I don't think you're lazy, I think it's just human nature to not want to do hard things.
We put off,
We run towards pleasure and
Away from it.
Yeah,
like
yes.
that's human nature, that's not.
but we also create it in our minds. So when I was interviewing Melissa, I said, let's make some hard calls. And so I thought, well, I gotta call somebody that's gonna be really tough. So I said to her, this guy doesn't particularly like me, and I'm gonna call him. And then I had the best conversation with him, and she's like, what do you mean you didn't like you? Number one, shame on me, I hadn't called him in a long time. He didn't really remember me. And so then I was like, well, tell me what's going on. And, we talked about his house, we talked about his goals, we talked about all these other things. And all of a sudden, we had like a really good conversation that's led to future conversations. And I had in my mind, he was mad about something that happened at closing because he couldn't get, he didn't think the repairs were good enough and blah, blah, blah. And so he doesn't like them. So I didn't call him for 5 years.
You made the situation in your head more,
I did.
so
Yeah.
He didn't remember any of that.
Saturday afternoon, Brittany texted me and said, how's the painting in the bathroom coming?
Oops.
I
And
hold them
in
accountable
my-
to all things.
In my brain,
Yeah.
like, I'm not starting them, like,
Yeah.
it's, and her prompt.
Yeah.
3 hours later, my bathroom's done.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
in my brain, it was so much bigger
Work.
of a, And
And it wasn't,
and I'm sending her pictures like, look, thank you for encouraging me.
It looks beautiful.
But like,
And our kids are stoked.
but we make these things so like.
we do.
We make them harder, we make them longer. It'll take
Longer,
5 minutes, when
yeah.
we say it's gonna take 2 days.
Yeah.
We over exaggerate the pain.
And we catastrophize, and what, if I get in that mode, what I say, and what I said to Melissa, because I was trying to be a role model, was I said, look, what's one thing that happened? He hangs up on me. Hey, I know probably he's not gonna buy or sell a house from me. Good to know, won't waste my time,
I have a lot of those in my career.
right? But the reality is, he didn't hang up, right? So, but that's the worst, it's not gonna kill me. Melissa has something on her computer that says, but did you die? And I love it, because the thing is, but did you die?
I'm loving you right now.
Yeah, she's probably like, kill her.
We love you, Melissa.
But it's true. I mean, when you look at it that way, like, did I die? No, I really didn't.
Yeah, we're not delivering beating hearts.
Yeah.
We're just having conversations.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
not that, it's just not rockets.
It sounds like you phrase it differently too. You're more giving than asking, so it's probably a little easier.
I tried to be, and I try to make things, like, right now, we're doing the charity thing, so it's easier to call and say, Melissa, I have some really exciting news. This year, for every house that we sell, we're gonna give a portion of our proceeds back to charities, and we picked 2. So blah, 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 blah. If you know anybody that I can help, I really appreciate it. We'll help them, we'll treat them like family, and we'll be giving back to the community. That's so much easier to ask, right? Than, who do you know that needs to buy or sell a house? It feels very self-serving.
And don't you feel by like helping out with your community events, helping out with the waitress, things like that, don't you feel like sometimes, because you're not asking for business, you're just doing it out of good of your heart, it
Yeah.
more legitimizes you
Sure.
for future business?
And more importantly, you feel good about yourself, right? You don't feel like a slimy salesperson. It's like, okay, I'm doing this to help people. I want to help people live better lives, and I want to help them create generational wealth. And if I can help ancillary people in that process and put good karma out there, well, good. Then maybe that's why when I fell through an attic, I broke my foot and not my neck.
You really,
Maybe,
yeah.
maybe it might be that simple. So,
And for Shannon, I don't think realized like just how bad that fall could have been in the moment. Like
Yeah.
it took you a while to really realize like I could have died.
it took my husband kind of losing it with me for me, because I was
Yeah.
very flippant about my recovery, and I was like, let's go, let's do this, let's do that, and he's like, TV time out. This is a problem.
Yeah.
Yeah. Out there. I may not be the fastest learner. Apparently, you don't need to be that real estate. You just have to keep going.
You just gotta do the hard things.
Yeah.
Over and over and over and over.
And then they're less hard.
I've appreciated you sharing today because I'm a fairly new agent. And it encouraged me because I do have 2 other part-time jobs.
Mhm.
So I'm out in the community. My
Sure.
one is for a credit union. And I go around and audit branches, so I'm not the most favorite person, but I'm out there. I know, but they know that I'm there to help them do a better job.
Right,
Because if they do a better job, they're gonna get a better performance rating, they're not gonna get written up.
right.
And so then they contact me when I'm not out there saying, hey, I'm thinking about this, am I handling that right? Sort of like your compliance department.
Right.
And then one day a week, usually Fridays, I teach school.
Oh,
And
great.
this year I expanded to a second school district because I have kids in grandkids, not kids, grandkids in 2 different school districts, 9-year-old kids.
Mhm.
And I go in and I meet their teachers and I build relationships with the kids and, so some of them, I've done it for 3 years. I have them in kindergarten and now
Yeah.
first and now second. And,
That's
do
awesome.
you have my brother in 5th grade? And
Yeah,
so, I'm not allowed to pass up my cards in school, but I
Right.
can mention if they say, well, Mr. Gibb, what do you do when you're not here?
right.
Then I can say.
But you can also do things for them. So,
I'm
and,
glad you brought this
and
up.
school districts don't always like this, so sometimes you have to do, like, both Tasha and Melissa will show up at their schools with stuff for the office staff or the team, just because, right, just because. But, for a while with Mechanicsburg, because I knew so many people, I would do, rather than just commit to Teacher Appreciation Week where everybody gives stuff, I would do a teacher appreciation event. It's breakfast, it was bagels, orange juice, fruit, muffins, It's not rocket science, wasn't the biggest deal, but I would do it. I didn't necessarily talk about real estate. I'd say sponsored by Shannon Foster, you know, blah, blah, blah. That's it. But it was a way to go, and people be like, why are you doing this? And I would always joke, it's like, yeah, we got my kids. You know what I mean? But here's the thing, I got great business out of that. And then those people referred me to other teachers and other teachers and other administrators and whatever. And the school became a huge resource for me. A lot of my first sales were from teachers and people that worked PTA and the musical. Because those were places that I was always at all of those events. And I wore my little name badge, which I'm terrible about wearing now. Grocery stores. Wear your name badge at a grocery store. Where, and help the short person that can't reach that thing on top. And then.
Except unless you are the short.
That's good.
Yes, bottom.
Take your little gripper thing.
It's amazing. Just start a conversation with the person in the grocery store aisle, right? Or in line in front of you, you know, about something mundane, just be personable. It is amazing how many times that leads. I'm pretty sure that leads to more business than having your name on the little checkout thing. That nobody actually really, I mean, we look at it because we're like, oh, I know him, but I'm not sure anybody else does.
Yeah, for you, like I would be like, can you go on field trips? Can you volunteer for, I don't know if they let grandparents be on the PTA, but I bet they would, because it's harder to fill now, I think.
Take anybody.
Yeah.
You know, yeah, like, can you help
Take the whole-
chaperone people? You know,
Yeah.
I'm pointing to Ben, because our kids go to school together, but like we have a glow dance party once a year.
Yeah.
Like, could you be a chaperone man?
And,
Yeah.
and then just, the other thing is, you may not be able to solicit real estate, but you can certainly say to people, look, my other job is real estate, so if you need a contractor, the contractor route really works. If you need a contract, and it's legit, you're giving them, if you need a contractor, you know, you need a plumber, I need you to call me right now. Oh, another thing, I'm calling my neighbors and the neighborhoods that I do a lot of work in. Hey, how are you doing with all the snow? When people need tree removal, I got a guy for that. When people, you know, I had 2 people that said my heat's not working well. Okay, hold on. Getting those people, but you're preemptively asking them, the older people, do you need somebody to shovel your drive? Let's be honest, I had to shovel the drive the other day because I couldn't find anybody either. But when I asked and she said yes, showed up with the shovel. You know, didn't kill me. And you gotta think that when she's ready to sell, she's gonna think of me.
Are you the one that said no someone's will?
No.
No, someone told me that the other day, that it's in their will to make sure that this person lists their home.
That's very cool.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
was like, that is a whole nother level.
yeah.
A level of
Life.
appreciation. Yeah.
Life and beyond.
Life and beyond.
But that, I'll tell you, if you get good in a specific neighborhood and you gotta do it regularly. I got business. I didn't talk to the person that I got the business from, but I talked to both of their neighbors multiple times, and when they went to sell. They called me, they already had a realtor, they thought, but they called me and they said, we're making a decision today, and I showed up. And my first question I ask is, I gotta ask, if you already had a realtor that you loved. What's missing? Why did you call me? And he goes, what do you mean? I said, well, you told me on the phone, I'm calling you because both my neighbors said to, but I already have somebody I wanna work with. And I appreciate it and I'm flattered and I'd love the opportunity to talk to you, but what is it that made you think that you should still do that if you love this other person? What might not be working? And when he thought about it, he's like, I just don't know about the marketing plan. And it's like, well, if he's just sticking a sign in the yard and putting it on the MLS, that's a problem for you.
Yeah,
And then I knew what to focus on, right? Then I knew what to focus on. So,
that was good. Thank you. Any other questions? No?
thanks for coming. I was excited to be me and Rick.
It was a great conversation. We would have fun. Yeah, we would have made it fun. That's fun. Thank you. Miss Adrian's gonna take it away with her vision board class.
Sorry, Adrian, I can't stay.
That's all right. That's all right.
Shannon, then when you were talking, I was thinking about, like, there's such power in just showing up sometimes.
Yeah.
Like one time I got this, seller has mine, I have a listing in White Rock Acres. a land listing,
Uh-huh.
And he got hit by a snowplow. And the thing got all bent up and he pushed it to another neighbor's property, and the neighbor went by, just put it in someone's yard. So the person called me, they're like, irate, because my son was in my yard. I was like,
And you're learning.
well, I don't know how I got there, but I was like, oh, not now, yeah, it's just, it's not part of your house. When I got there, they were
You're
like,
feeling better.
you need to, sound mean, I was like, no, we thought it was pretty ballsy, just put your sign right there, and I was like, well, listen, if you wanna sell, I can leave it, and it'd be like, build a relationship, and then they called me, and listed 3 of their properties, and sold the land that was right next to them. I was like, that's so funny, because all I did was go get it, the inside off.
I had one where I gave
How are
the
you
sign
today?
company full address, and it went to the next door neighbors. And it was one of those buried homes, and I was like, oh my God. And they called me irate. I was like, totally my fault, so sorry, I'll get it removed. I called the sign guy right away, I said, you need to, he's like, oh, they're still in the air. I said, great. And then I sent her a nice bouquet of flowers. She wrote me a thank you note. And I showed up at the door, I was like, look, I'm the one that made the mistake, I'm so sorry, all that stuff. She gave me two different people that I listed their house in that neighborhood.
Well, I know, because that's the thing I struggle with, because my love language is not gifts. and,
Yeah.
Like those kind of gestures, so
Yeah.
I like, will go into anything, they're like, all right, how do I enhance this?
Right,
So like, you'd be
it's the
surprised,
next
you
level.
bring coffee to closing, and you're like, forget my agent, I'm going that guy next
Yeah.
time.
Yeah,
Like, it's so funny, I'm like, cause I struggle with like the big gifts, so I
Yeah.
try to just do small things, like
Small
I'll be on the way to a show and I'm like. I'll text them, you want coffee?
yeah,
Or just
And
bring it,
that- and that little thing matters,
you know,
that little thing.
cause like, it's
matters.
funny because like. You get lost in the fact that you got all these transactions, so for you, it's just like, it's a price drop, we're doing a price drop.
Make me.
But then it's like, no, sit down, think why we're doing a price drop.
Right.
Explain it,
Yeah.
try to do it in person,
Yeah, you gotta do it in person.
like, what do you do for your offers? Like, when people get a help.
I show up.
You need help with anything?
No, thank you. I just need the computer to work. Just need that computer to work. There. How was your weekend, Tony?
It was good. We were down in Pittsburgh to see Shane Gillis, stand-up comedian from Mechanicsburg.
Yep.
So, drove down there. It was just one of those fast and quick,
Yeah.
intense trips, check in, go out, grab a drink or two, go to the concert, drink or two after, wake up, drive home.
And then to have all the weather on top of that.
Oh, yeah. How about yourself?
My daughter was sick Friday and Saturday. And then my husband was sick
Oh, no.
Sunday and Monday. So it was we were pretty low key and quiet
How
around
was your
our
daughter?
15.
Okay.
Yeah, she had the cold, like, whatever, and then my husband got the stomach, whatever. And, so I was just like.
You
just-
had your share already.
Just trying to stay away from everybody. I want no parts of that, so.
Parents got something around Christmas and they're just still slightly
Yeah.
under the weather.
Yeah.
They can't quite shake it. but they're
All the stuff is
Yeah, they're a little older though, and
not good, not good.
my sister, she has a brand new house that's less than a year old. The heat pump failed last night. And the auxiliary heat didn't kick on.
Holy crap.
So my dad was over there, running space heaters and like slept on the couch with, her and the dog.
Oh my word.
It it was negatives up in Perry County last night.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was cold. It was super cold, but, they got a tech guy out there today,
Oh, thank God.
miraculously
Thank
it's fixed.
Goodness.
Yeah.
Holy cow. You don't expect that with a
I was,
one-year-old heat pump like.
yeah, and, our entire development, off of St. John's there on the pike. A couple of years ago, we pulled together and negotiated with an oil company to get like mass deliveries for discounted rate. There's like 30 or 40 of us that do it. It saves them trucks, like, versus one truck coming in to fill 2 homes or filling up 20 or 30 when they come then.
No, that's.
So it works really well. The guy's down with drivers though. So our oil delivery was 7 days late. And my home was running on fumes.
I bet.
I was so nervous if we didn't get it in time.
I bet.
So it's always something.